Hey there. How are you guys doing? I'm Lorraine Rise, your career coach and the owner of Career Uprising. So, welcome, guys. Come on in. I'm so glad you joined the broadcast today. We are talking about a really heavy hitting, serious, not fun topic today. I'm calling this out of work and out of time, how to get employed again fast. And so, what has inspired this topic for me today is just a lot of prospects that I've been talking to and my clients who are in this situation of being unemployed. There's so many layoffs happening. I just saw another article on LinkedIn about how job openings are down, unemployment is up. It's just there's a lot of layoffs happening right now. I know I don't have to tell you guys that. So a lot of people are unemployed and looking for work, and they don't have the luxury of time. So a lot of people I work with are employed, and they can kind of make a luxury move, right? So today's show is really for everybody. There's going to be tips that you guys can pick up no matter who you are, but who this really is for is the unemployed. And I'm going to talk more about that situation and what I'm hearing from a lot of prospects in a moment. So first, I'm telling you guys, man, there's this hair. I got to get it out. Okay, there we go. It was in my vision. I'm sorry. It happens when you're recording these things. But anyway, let me just tell you who I am, just in case you don't know. So, first of all, I'm quirky and I stop and pull hairs in the middle of my broadcast. Sometimes I keep it real. I like to have fun. I don't take myself too seriously. But I'm Lorraine Rise. You can learn more, of course, at careeruprising.com, should be right there at the bottom of the screen. My team and I, we help clients that are mid and late career, and we help with resume writing, career coaching, getting you out to recruiters, pretty much end to end job search and career change support. So if you are mid or late career, 40, 50 plus, feeling stuck, needing direction, needing confidence, needing a better resume, whatever it is, that's our sweet spot. That's who we help. And we are very, very effective at it, I believe. Been doing this for 8 years now, just as an entrepreneur, but I've been helping people in their careers my entire life since my very first job out of college, basically. So this is what I love. So welcome, come in, and please, in the chat, if you could tell me, where you're from, if you want to tell me a little bit about yourself, I'd love to kind of engage with you guys and know who's here and what kind of questions you have. So feel free to talk to me a little bit there and ask questions, whether it's about unemployment or not. This is your opportunity to get some help from me. So put your toughest career questions in the chat, and I will, if I don't get to it right away, probably at the end or in the chat afterwards, I will respond to you. So come in, tell me who you are, tell me where you're from, tell me what's going on. And I'm going to dig in here to the content. So what I have today, and you might see me look down occasionally because I'm like a sticky note, although today it's like a whole outline. The reason I have notes today is because there's so much I want to get through to help you get employed faster. And I have 7 strategies for you. So watch this recording again or take notes, whatever you got to do. We're going to go through 7 things that could be either things that are holding you back or things that you can start doing to turbocharge that job search and get employed faster. But so just to kind of talk about this problem first, I have talked recently to an increasing number of people who are really in dire straits. They're unemployed. They're losing money monthly. Sometimes they have to borrow money from people just to meet their expenses. They borrow money to pay for my program to get help, which can be done as well. They're in a bad situation, sometimes to the point of getting a job, just hourly to pay the bills. And while all of that is so tough from a practical standpoint, then there's the emotional and the mental toll that it takes off of you to be in that situation, to be unemployed for 6 months or a year or whatever it might be is really, really challenging. And I have been unemployed many times, more times than you would probably believe. And it's funny because I actually had to become an entrepreneur and it found career pricing to create stability in my career. We always think, oh, getting a traditional 9 to 5 job, that's the safe way to go, right? That's the job security. That's what everybody does. And being an entrepreneur is like super risky. And yes, it can be, but it was the opposite for me. I've never had more income and more stability than I do now as an entrepreneur. I actually had to be an entrepreneur to get stability because I wasn't finding it in the traditional job market. I think that when you are at the mercy of a company and their decisions, you could be laid off at any time. That's the scary part to me. So that's a whole different conversation, but I do know what it's like to be laid off repeatedly. I do know what it's like to have bills to pay, and you need income fast. I do know what it's like to be bored and lonely and frustrated when you're unemployed and you're applying for jobs and you're not getting any results. Nobody's calling you back, and you get an interview and then you don't get it and you really wanted it and you need the money. Just all of that, you guys. I get it. I have been there. Okay. So this broadcast is for you out there who is in dire straits. You're losing money. Your livelihood is at risk. You're driving for, DoorDash or whatever it might be to pay the bills. I love you. I hear you. There is help. There are things that you can do. But yes, it is a tough job market out there. So you're not crazy, right? There's nothing wrong with you at all, but there might be some things that we can do to optimize your job search before we give up and say, well, you should just get out of the workforce or go do something else totally different. I don't want you to give up yet. Let's go through some basic things here together and let's make sure we're optimizing everything that we can before we give up, right? Or just go a totally different route. So all right. I'm going to hydrate you guys. We're about to go at it. Let's get you guys back to work. Okay. So, number one. All right. Now, some of these may apply to you, some may not, but listen to the whole list. We got 7 things to get through. And I want you to really, really be honest with yourself and think about these and don't just go, oh, no, yeah, I'm good. I do that. Nah, hang on. You might not. Sometimes we think we're doing something and we're not, or we're not doing it as well as we could. So dig deep and really ask yourself how well and how consistently you're doing all these things. But so here are 7 reasons why a job search might not be working. Number 1, lack of a clear target. This is really common. I get a lot of clients who are a little bit all over the place with what kind of job they want. And this happens a lot too when you're unemployed because you're like, well, I'll take anything at this point. You just need to get employed. And sometimes that's okay to just take a stopgap. But even before you get to that point, a lot of people are like, well, I can do this and then I can do project management, but then I can also do, product development or whatever it might be. And they're a little scattered in their job search. And I'm not saying that you need to narrow your search down to one job title. That's not necessarily realistic. But what I'm saying is, if you are applying to different job titles, they still need to be relevant, right? It still needs to use the same skill set. We have to be careful not to be too much of a jack of all trades. So there's nothing wrong with having a broad skill set. A lot of people do. But I want you to make sure that your job search is as focused as it can be. There's a balance to find. We don't want to limit yourself and make it too narrow, but we don't want to be too broad. And I can tell you from the hundreds of people that I work with, it is much more common that people will have too broad of a job search than too narrow. The risk is higher that you are probably too broad and because we are afraid to go too narrow, but that is not what most people do in reality. So consider that. Look at your target. Does it make sense? Does it match your resume? Does your LinkedIn match it as well? Does everything you're putting out there, verbally in interviews, online on your LinkedIn, on paper on your resume? Is it all in service of this clear, defined target that matches your skill set? Okay. That is number one. So sometimes a job search just has a little bit of an identity crisis that we have to work through. We all go through it. It's okay. But that's the basic 101 before I even get into any of the mechanics of the job search. Always have a clear target. And that's one reason why when I talk to prospects a lot, sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I need a resume. I need to do my resume. And I'm like, well, do you know exactly what you're looking for? Tell me what you're applying for. And they're like, well, I don't know. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. And that's when I'm like, okay, take a step back. You need coaching first. You need coaching first to get a clear direction. Then we'll write your resume for you. So there's that. Okay. Number two, sometimes there's a failure to diagnose correctly what is wrong in your job search. Meaning, you might think that you're getting bottlenecked in one area of the process, but it's actually another. So, for example, one question that I ask a lot of people when I talk to them on the phone is, "Are you getting Are you not getting interviews? Is that the problem, or are you getting interviews but you're not getting offers?" For example, those are two different problems that have two different solutions. There's a lot of areas in the job search where we can get tripped up. The first, like I said, having a clear target, that's one problem. Then being able to get interviews is another. Then being able to get through the interview and get offers is another. And then being able to negotiate that offer and get paid what you're worth. That's a whole nother hurdle, right? So there's a lot of different pieces to a job search. It's kind of the sum of its parts. And if you're going to be successful, you got to get through all of them. You got to jump through all of those hoops. So it's not enough to just have a good resume. You also have to interview well. And it's great if you interview well, but what if you're not getting interviews in your resume, or LinkedIn sucks, right? So I'm not trying to overwhelm you, but I'm trying to say, look at the bigger picture and make sure you are clear on where in the process you are going wrong. That's something that sometimes a coach can help you with, right? So we work with people to take a deep inventory of everything they're doing. Show me everything you're putting out there. When I coach people, I always start from where they are. So I'll be like, what are you doing for this? What are you saying when you network? Who are you connecting with? It's just a thorough inventory. Lay it all out. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're not doing. And then I can craft a job search strategy to help them, that one that focuses on what they're already doing right. We're going to keep doing that, and we're going to fix what you're not doing. It's very customized. Okay. So what's not working for one person could be different than what's not working for another. So we need to diagnose it accurately. Okay. Number three, and this actually kind of feeds into from number two, right? Or number two is a good segue into this one. In order to diagnose what's going on, we need to track your job search. So the third mistake is failure to track your job search results. You need to be putting it down. I would recommend a spreadsheet. This is something I always did in the past when I was job searching. I would make a simple spreadsheet. We provide one to our clients that's already ready to go with all the headings, but you can make your own. The company name, the job title, where you found the posting, where you are in the process, who you've talked to, if there's a contact there, what the next steps are. Sounds like a lot. It's not. Just throw all these headings into an Excel spreadsheet and then start documenting every job you apply to. The reason that this is valuable is because you're tracking your success. You're going to be able to see what your success rate is, or see where are you getting bottlenecked in the process. Am I applying to 100 jobs and getting no interviews? Okay, well, something's wrong in the early stage because we're not getting interviews. Or did you apply to 30 jobs and you got 4 interviews? That's pretty good. Okay, maybe my resume is working. Maybe it's something in the interview process, because maybe I'm not getting past the first round interview. Because even that is a separate problem. You just saying, oh, I'm getting through interviews, that's too broad. Are you getting the first interview and the phone screen and not getting past that? That's a separate problem. Then, no, I am getting past those. I'm just not getting past the second in-depth interview and getting an offer. Lots of different steps. So if you're tracking your job search results, you can see what's going on. Am I getting a lot of initial phone screens and then no one's coming back? Well, there's something going on in that interview for sure, right? So you want to be tracking how many jobs you're applying to, how many initial phone screens you're getting, how many second rounds of, or third or fourth or 20 rounds these days of interviews you're getting. So you can see what's working and what's not. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, number four. It's the big one. Either no networking or bad networking is happening, right? So a lot of times people are networking, but they're not doing it very well, or they're not very efficient or comfortable with it. It's kind of forced, or whatever it might be, or they're not approaching the conversation right, or there's a lot of different things, right? Networking can feel kind of icky to a lot of people, and I used to be that way too. So I get it. I get it. But first of all, if you're not networking at all, that is a big problem, because people still get people jobs at the end of the day. They really do. There is a human or a couple of humans behind that ATS system and that software system and computer. Okay. But the chat GPT and all that these days, right? So there's a lot of technology involved in the hiring process, but there's still people. A person is going to look at your resume and talk to you at some point, to some degree, if you are actually going to get hired. Okay. So you still need to network. Okay. And so, what I would recommend, here's a little action tip for you: come up with a list of your top 10 to 15 connections. So these are people that know you, like you, trust you, right? You've heard that before. They may or may not have a job opportunity right now. Don't worry about that if you don't know if they can help you. But I want you to build your confidence up by starting small. And if 10 to 15 is too much, start with five. Pick five people that you feel comfortable, or at least reasonably comfortable, reaching out to, and start with them. Your low hanging fruit. Okay. Share with them that you're in a job search. Share with them what you're looking for. Ask for advice, insights, and recommendations. All right. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. If you want to coach with us, we have that whole framework that we teach clients about how to network, what to say, what questions to ask. So that acronym AIR is something that we can teach you more. That's probably a whole nother LinkedIn Live. But that's a big, big barrier for a lot of people: not networking, or not doing it well, and not feeling confident, and not knowing how to leverage the network that they have to get help in their career and to get job leads, or even just referrals and recommendations and advice and things that can be helpful. So not every networking conversation has to result in a job lead. That's ideal. That's what we want. But there are other ways that you can leverage your network in the bigger sense. Okay. So, like I said, a lot to unpack with that one. We can coach you through that. But that is a big, big mistake, is not networking or not doing it well. Okay. Number five, a poor resume, specifically a resume that sends mixed messages, looks outdated, or isn't well targeted. Okay. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong with a resume as well. And resume writing is by far the biggest pain point that our clients have, and the number one service that we offer that they take advantage of, because writing a resume sucks. It's a lot of work. It can be hard. A lot of people aren't comfortable writing about themselves. They don't know how to tell their story. They don't know what hiring managers want to hear. I actually spoke to somebody just today who used chat GPT a little bit, and I was like, no, thank you. I still need a human to write my resume. I agree. So there's a lot of challenges with this. Some people don't have the ability. Some people don't have the time. Some people don't have the desire. Some people don't have any of those things. So we can help you with that. But and I think a lot of people too are kind of quick to blame the resume. It's like the first go-to thing when our job search isn't working. We automatically assume it must be my resume. For a lot of people it is, but not for everybody. There's people who I do like prospect calls with, and I'm like, your resume is not that bad. There's probably something else going on. You need coaching. Let's dig in and see what else is happening, because your resume is okay. I've seen worse, right? So I'm very honest with people in that regard, that it may or may not be that, but that is one of the most basic 101 things that we need to look at is, does it send a clear message? It's not, I don't want it to be confusing who you are or what you do. Is it targeted in the direction you want to go? Is it modern? Is it concise? Is it professional looking? And if there's definitely a difference between, more executive looking resumes, because we do work with executives as well, versus somebody who's maybe, at a different stage in their career. They're not in a leadership role. Those two resumes might look different and sound different. So it needs to be targeted to who you are as well. We're blazing through them, you guys. Anybody else need water, or is it just me? It's probably just me. Okay. Number 6, your resume and LinkedIn are not aligned, or your LinkedIn is just bad. Your LinkedIn, what could make a LinkedIn bad? Being empty and not having much information, not having a photo, having a weird headline that is, you're trying to be cute and unique and tongue in cheek, but it doesn't do anything to help your job search. I see those all the time. I see people who put like just quotes or like funny sayings in their headline, and I can appreciate that from like just from a personal standpoint, but your LinkedIn headline must have your targeted job title in it. It just must, because it's searchable. That headline is the number one most searchable part of your profile. If it is not aligned with the job that you want, that is not what you're going to be found for. So make sure you're using realistic job titles that are recognized, right? So don't call yourself a maven or a guru or a rock star if that's not what recruiters are searching for. Hate to be boring, but you need to speak the language of the employers on your profile and call yourself what they are calling your job. Make sense? Right? If I'm a recruiter right now searching for my next project management person, I'm not going to say I'm a project rock star. Like, that's not what I'm searching for, guys. Come on. It's funny and cute, but it's not practical. So take a look at your LinkedIn, have somebody else take a look at it, make sure it's aligned with your resume, no surprises, no big different stories being told there. They need to work cohesively. They don't need to be a carbon copy. And I don't want your LinkedIn to be just a copy and paste of your resume. That's boring. Anybody can do that. LinkedIn's a different platform. It's a social media profile. So you want it to make it personal. You want to make it engaging. Put your personal brand in there a little bit, but stay true to your job titles. Write in first person, make it conversational, and use some storytelling for sure. I'd love to see that in there. All right, guys, we're coming up on 30 minutes here. So the last one, and don't kill me for this one, okay? We have to talk about this. We have to. And I know this is easier said than done, but before I tell you what this one is, speaking to people who are out of work, running out of money, depressed, desperate, I get it. I get it. But your mindset will determine your results. See, I got a pen. I'm like pointing my pen at you. I know it's easier said than done, okay? But whatever you need to do, get a support system, exercise, meditation, visualization. These are all things that have really transformed my life and my career. You have got to find a way to stay grateful and stay positive, okay? Because you will get whatever you are putting out into the world. This is how life works. It's been proven. There's research out there that will show that life is energy, life is consciousness. You have the ability to affect your results. And what you put in is what you get out, or, there's a lot of sayings around that. If you have a negative mindset, and if you are talking to yourself saying, I'm too old, no one's ever going to hire me, this is hopeless, I'll never get a job, I'm broke, whatever. I know those things feel true for you right now, but you have got to start living from the future you that you want, okay? You need to start feeling, thinking, and speaking like the person you want to be, who is employed and prosperous and happy, right? I know this might sound disingenuous, but believe me, I walk the talk, okay? I've been there, and I know that your attitude will determine your direction and your results. If it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you keep saying these negative things, then you will only reinforce your current situation and they will continue to be true. But if you can say, I know there is an amazing job out there for me. I will be employed again. I can see it. I can feel it. It's going to happen. I'm grateful for what I do have. I'm grateful for this experience, for everything that it's teaching me, and I will be employed again. There is a job out there for me, and the right job will always say yes. And I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to give up, and I'm going to find the job that I need. If you keep doing that, despite present appearances of not having it, and you really believe it, it will happen. Okay. Feel free to write that off as a bunch of woo-woo nonsense if you don't like it. Or if you maybe I understand if you're just not in a place right now where you can feel like that would be true for you. But it really, really is. That is the most important thing. Okay. Is to stay grateful and stay positive and never quit and start feeling, thinking, acting, believing like the person you want to be, not in the situation that you're in now. Okay. All right. I hope that that was helpful. That was like a 30-minute power hour. So I'm going to leave you with a couple more action tips here. All right. A couple of things that you can act on if you are really just at your wit's end and you don't know what else to do. But first, go through this list of 7 things. That is number 1. Make sure that you are really maximizing on all of those things. All right. But also consider freelance, part-time, or kind of gig work, contract work. That could really be a good stopgap, something to put on your resume, or at least just to pay the bills. So if that target you really want isn't working, lower it just temporarily. Okay. Freelance work is huge right now. There is opportunities there for most people. Consider a staffing agency too. Have you registered with a staffing agency that's free for you as a job seeker? That could get you exposure into the hidden job market. I know recruiters get a bad rap, but let's be honest, you need a job. So it wouldn't hurt to build relationships as best you can with them and go the route of a staffing agency for either permanent or temporary or contract work. And then make that list of your top connections and start reaching out to them as well. And then lastly, get help. Please get help if you need it. If you just don't know what else to do, you're depressed and desperate, whether it's me or somebody else, but we can help you at Career Uprising. And we have very, very generous payment plans through PayPal that get the payments ridiculously low. You can work with us on our resume writing program for less than $100 a month, like $65 if you need to. You can take your time paying for it and get help and results now. All right. We implemented those payment plans just a few months ago in January to reach unemployed people like you who want our services, but just can't afford the upfront cost. And they need our services. It's just, how do we pay for it when I have no income or very little income? So that's my hope, is that that will be a solution for you, that you can start working with us right away and pay very, very little. You can spread it out over a year, 2 years if you need to. I know you don't sound like you want to take 2 years to pay for my program, but you don't necessarily have to. Just start with low payments now. And then when you get a job, you can pay it off early, right? So it's meant to be more of a temporary measure, but please let us work with you or find somebody that you feel like whose message resonates with you. But we do offer a payment plan. So do not be afraid of the upfront cost that you see on the website. It might be more affordable than you think. Okay. All right. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much. So where can you learn more about me? Look right there, obviously, careeruprising.com. I have so much. I have my Get Hired Over 40 LinkedIn newsletter you can subscribe to. I have 144 episodes of my podcast. I have my email newsletter that I put out. I have a LinkedIn group. I have a blog on my website. I have a ton of free content, a whole body of work over the last 8 years. So if nothing else, please take advantage with that. And if you haven't connected with me yet on LinkedIn, I'm a pretty open connector. I'll probably say yes, unless you're a digital marketer. Sorry, I get a lot of inquiries from them. Yeah, so go to careeruprising.com. Okay. I love you guys. The right job will always say yes. Okay. Repeat after me one more time. The right job will always say yes. Okay. My love to you guys.